Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet. Wait a minute, I tell you. You ain't heard nothing.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Recent Reads. I recently read A Woman of Substance by Barbara Taylor Bradford. This is the first novel in a series of 7 novels in the Emma Hart family saga. My copy of A Woman of Substance was published by Grafton Books in 1989, by which time it had sold over 8 million copies. It was originally published in 1979. By November 2019, it had sold over 30 million copies, which will give you some idea of the popularity and love that this author inspires in readers. After reading A Woman of Substance, Bradford can definitely number me among her fans. The novel is divided into 6 parts. The first part begins in 1968 with Emma Hart flying in a corporate jet. She is a woman of immense wealth and extensive business interests in New York, Paris, London and Yorkshire, her home county. She is now 78 years old and is training up her grandchild, Paula, to assume the reins of her empire, but her sons are conspiring behind her back to sell off part of her enterprise to realise their shares in the company. This comes to Emma's attention and she takes steps to thwart them. But before we are told what those steps are, part 2 takes us back to 1905 and to Emma's impoverished upbringing in Yorkshire in the north of England. Bradford in this part skillfully elicits our sympathy for Emma, who at the age of 14 is working as a kitchen maid in a country house, so that you are rooting for her at every step of the way. And as we move into part 3, where Emma begins to engage in business, she has carried you along. Part 4 is set during the First World War, and this event has repercussions for Emma's personal life. Part 5 is the pinnacle of Emma's business success and is the longest, set in 1918 to 1950. Part 6 brings us up to date as it returns to 1968 and the resolution of the plot against Emma's empire. I've only outlined the bare plot of this magnificent novel, which is rich in characters, incident and superb storytelling. From beginning to end of this rags to riches story, the story never flags. Bradford is a wonderful storyteller and her plot and characters are compelling and involving. I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of this series, and my rating for this novel is A. I also read Shirley by Charlotte Bronte, which was on my TBR for Victober, but as I had some time before beginning my next Chunksters Reading Challenge pick, I decided to read it ahead of time and to substitute Two on a Tower by Thomas Hardy for Victober. Shirley was a reread, but as it was over 20 years ago since I last read it, I'd forgotten all about it. The only thing I remember about it was that I didn't especially like it. As I began reading it, I was not sure why, because I was thoroughly enjoying it this time round. Also, in the first third of the novel, Caroline Helstone is very much to the fore, so I was wondering why the novel was called Shirley. Shirley does not show up until we are well into the novel, but when she does, she comes to dominate the novel, although Caroline is still very much in evidence and they are most often seen together. So for 300 pages of the 508 pages of this novel, I thought it was excellent. Then, unfortunately, I think Charlotte Bronte's inventiveness and imagination ceased to work, and she drew on her own personal experiences of nursing a sick sister, because now the novel descended into philosophizing, dreary descriptions of illness and absurd soliloquies. One sickroom episode would have been bad enough, but there are 2 more to endure. It seems to me that if this novel had been edited down to 350 pages to produce a much tighter narrative, then it would have been a superb novel, but unfortunately, as it stands, it is seriously defective and therefore unsatisfying as a whole. It is a novel that has to be read, if only for the characters of Caroline and Shirley, but with the understanding that it is an imperfect and badly constructed novel. So my rating for this novel is B. I also reread All's Well That Ends Well by William Shakespeare. This is a preposterous and unconvincing play. It has some amusing incidents in it which are enjoyable, but the main premise of the play is deeply flawed with an improbable and unsatisfying conclusion. The conclusion does not end well, and so all is not well. The premise is this. Helen, the daughter of a poor physician, is an orphan attending on the dowager Duchess of Roussillon. The Duchess has a son, Bertram, the Count of Roussillon, with whom Helen is in love. The Count has been ordered to attend the court of the King of France, who is mortally ill. Helen then convinces the Duchess to allow her to go to the court to use her medicinal skills learned from her father to restore the king to health. After convincing the king that she has the precise medicinal herbs that will enable him to recover his health, she asks that when he recovers his health, that for a reward she'll be allowed to name the man she wants to marry. The king agrees. He's restored to health, and after a charade of a few suitors being offered, she names Bertram, Count Roussillon. The king commands him to marry Helen. Bertram is outraged and scandalized. He says, "My wife, my liege, I shall beseech your highness, in such a business, give me leave to use the help of mine own eyes." The king says, "Knowest thou not, Bertram, what she has done for me?" "Yes, my good lord, but never hope to know why I should marry her." "Thou knowest she has raised me from my sickly bed." "But follows it, my lord, to bring me down must answer for your raising? I know her well. She had her breeding at my father's charge. A poor physician's daughter, my wife, disdained rather corrupt me ever." The king then says he can add wealth and status to Helen, but Bertram insists, "I cannot love her, nor will strive to do it." When the king commands him and threatens to cast him off, he submits to marry Helen. The marriage immediately takes place, but Bertram hates his wife. "Undone and forfeited to cares forever," and "although before the solemn priest I have sworn, I will not bed her." Bertram decides to join the army of the Duke of Florence and to send Helen to his mother. "It shall be so. I'll send her to my house. Acquaint my mother with my hate to her." It is necessary to see the extent of Bertram's hate to appreciate the absolute impossibility of the resolution that Shakespeare provides. Bertram sends Helen a letter in which the following is written: "When thou canst get the ring upon my finger, which never shall come off, and show me a child begotten of thy body, that I am the father to, then call me husband, but in such a then I write a never." How this is cleverly achieved is the fun part of the play, and so if you've never read it, I won't spoil it. Now let us jump to the end of the play. They are all assembled in the king's court, and it has been revealed that Bertram is a scumbag. Helen tells the king that the terms that Bertram had laid down in which she might call him husband. "This is done. Will you be mine now you are doubly won?" Then Bertram makes the most incredible statement, which I find to be incredulous. "If she, my liege, can make me know this clearly, I'll love her dearly, ever, ever dearly." I don't believe you. And now here's a quick recap, and I'll be back soon with another BookTube video.